Hey friends, and welcome back to the Reddit Rainbow. This is going to be a super special episode, so please grab your vibes and your delights and let's jump into this book called Why Does He Do That? Inside the Minds of Angry and Controlling Men by Lundy Bancroft. Am I reading this whole story? Hell the fuck not. I'm not reading all of this to you, okay? But I did share this link into my Discord channel. So if you're a fan of me and you want to see, go ahead and join my Discord. Take advantage of this free book that I put in there. But I want to read the first chapter of this book because this is an argument that people make time and time again. Okay, that's what he did. That's not what he's doing here. That's not what this guy's doing. You know what I'm saying? All of these people are engaging in abusive behavior and they don't think that they're abusive because they're not like that guy. Does that make sense? This book helps point out that they are. Okay? Grab your vibes and delights and please mind this trigger warning. But unfortunately, it is not unlike many of the things that we talk about on the daily on this channel. So let's jump in. So I'm right here in the mystery, and this is just the intro essentially, but I want y'all to read this chapter and you'll see why, okay? Listen to the voices of these women. He's two different people. I feel like I'm living with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He really doesn't mean to hurt me. He just loses control. Everyone else thinks he's great. I don't know what it is about me that sets him off. I used to say that a lot about my ex. He's fine when he's sober, but when he's inebriated, watch out. I feel like he's never happy with anything I do. Said that one a lot too. He's scared me a few times, but he never touches the children. He's a great father. How many times have we heard that in the Reddit stories we read daily? He calls me disgusting names and then an hour later he wants relations. I don't get it. He messes up my mind sometimes. The thing is, he really understands me. Why does he do that? These are the words of women who are describing their anxiety and inner conflict about relationships. Each of these women knows that something is wrong, very wrong, but she can't put her finger on what it is. Every time she thinks she's got her partner figured out, that she finally understands what's bothering him, something new happens. Something changes. The pieces refuse to fit together. Each of these women is trying to make sense out of the roller coaster ride that their relationship has become. Consider Kristen's account. When I first met Maury, okay, I'm not going to lie, I kind of giggled low key because Maury, like the show, no. Anyway, but when I first met Maury, he was the man I had dreamed of. It seemed too good to be true. He was charming, funny, and smart, and best of all, he was crazy about me. I opened up to him about hard things I'd been through over the previous few years, and he was so much on my side about it all. And he was so game for doing things. Whatever I wanted to do, he was up for it. The first year or so that we were together, it was great. I can't exactly say when things started to change. I think it was around the time we started living together. It started with him saying he needed more space. I felt confused because before that, it had always seemed like he was the one who wanted to be together at every second. Then he began to have more and more complaints and criticisms. He would say that I talk on and that I'm self-centered. Maybe I am. It's true that I talk a lot, but earlier it seemed like he couldn't hear enough about me. He started to say I wasn't doing anything with my life. I know he has big ambitions, and maybe he's right that I should be more that way, but I'm happy with what I have. And then it was my weight. It started to seem like all the time he was saying that I needed to work out more, that I wasn't watching what I ate. That hurt the most, to tell you the truth. He seemed to want relations less and less often, and if I ever tried to be the one to initiate lovemaking, forget it. We're still together, but I have feelings he's just going to leave me. I can't seem to live up to what he needs, so I'm trying, but he doesn't think so. And now when he's really angry or frustrated, he says things that cut me down. A few days ago, he said, "You're a lazy bitch. Just looking for a man to live off of like your mother." Wow. I don't get that. I've contributed a lot. I haven't worked the last 2 years since our baby was born. But now I think I'm getting ready to go back to work soon. I don't think he really meant it, but still. He says I've changed a lot, but I'm not always so sure it's me. Sometimes, for a few days, he seems like the guy I fell in love with, and I get hopeful. But then he slips away again into being so unhappy with me. I set him off somehow, but I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Kristen was troubled by several questions. What had happened to the man she had loved so much? Why was he always putting her down? What could she do to stop his explosions? Why did he think she was the one who needed to change? Other women tell stories that are quite distinct from Kristen's, but they feel just as confused as she does. Here's what Barbara has to say. Fran is kind of quiet and shy, but he's cute as a button, and I got a crush on him the day I met him. I really had to go after him. It was hard to draw him out. We would go out and have great talks, and I couldn't wait to see him again. But 3 weeks would go by, and he'd say he hadn't been feeling well, or his sister was in town, or whatever. A couple times he forgot dates we had. Well, he finally opened up. It turned out he'd been really hurt before. He'd been cheated on a lot, and women had done some pretty mean things to him. He was afraid to get close again. Little by little, he came around, but I was definitely the pursuer. I tried to show him that I wasn't like other women he had been with. I'm not flirtatious. I don't show my body off to other men. I'm just not the style. But Fran wouldn't believe it. He would always say that I was making eyes at a man at the next table, or that I was checking someone out who walked past us. I feel bad for him because he's so insecure. His mother cheated on his father when he was growing up, so I guess that's made it even worse. I was eager to get married because I thought then he'd feel secure that I was his, but he was very reluctant to commit. When we finally did tie the knot, he was more trusting for a while, but then the jealousy came back, and it's never left. I've asked him off and on for a few years to go see a therapist, but he always gets really mad and says there's nothing wrong with him. A few days ago, we went to a birthday party for a friend of his, and I had this great conversation with his friend's brother. It was nothing but talking. I mean, this guy isn't even cute. That's rude, but anyway. Well, suddenly, Fran was saying that we had to go home because he had a bad headache. On the drive home, it turned out the real reason was jealousy. He started yelling at me, saying he was sick of me humiliating him in front of other people, strutting your stuff, and so on and on. He was pounding his fist on the dashboard, and 2 or 3 times he shoved me up against the car door. Each time that I told him it wasn't true, he would go through the roof. So I stopped saying it. Our children were in the back seat, and it scared the daylights out of them. At my age, it's hard to think about leaving him. Starting all over seems so hard. I just wish he would just get some help. Barbara was struggling with issues different than Kristen's. Why couldn't Fran just trust her? And why is he isolating her from people? Why couldn't he see that he had the problem and get help? Was he going to hurt her badly someday? Would her life ever get better? At first look, Maury and Fran sound nothing like each other. One is young, popular, energetic, and assertive. The other is socially awkward, passive, and easily hurt. Fran is physically violent sometimes, whereas Maury is not. But are they as different as they seem? Or do they both actually have the same set of issues under the surface, driving this behavior? These are some of the questions for which we will find answers for in the chapters ahead. Please consider one more account from Laura. Paul is a great guy. We dated for about 6 months, and now we've been living together for several more. We're engaged. I feel so bad for him. His ex-wife accused him of abusing her, and it's a total lie. He made one mistake, which is that he cheated on her. Girl. And she is determined to get him back for that. She will stop at nothing. Now she's even saying that he was violent, claiming that he slapped her a few times and broke her things. Girl, run. Oh my God. Anyway, that's ridiculous. I've been with him for over a year now, and I can tell you he's nothing like that. Paul has never even raised a hand to me. In fact, he's tried to help me get my life together and has been really there for me. I was in a bad place when I met him. I was depressed and I was drinking too much, and I'm doing so much better now because of him. I hate that bitch for accusing him of those things. We're going to work together on getting custody of his kids because she's out of control. Laura wondered how Paul's ex-wife could accuse such a delightful man of abuse. She was so angry about it that she didn't notice several warning signs about her own relationship with Paul. Right, that the like the fact that he openly cheated and then slapped her around and shit, and I'm just like, run, girl. Anyway, and also they've only been together for a year, but they're already engaged and living together. Next thing you know, she's gonna be for fucking Pergananant. And oh my gosh, I didn't even think about, like, I would never be with someone who is still fighting with his ex-wife like that. Like, it's definitely a rebound situation. Like, look how I've moved on and she's nicer and prettier than you, like, kind of situation. Yeah. Anyway, back to the reading though. If Kristen, Barbara, and Laura were to sit down together and compare notes, they might decide that their partners couldn't be more different. The personalities of the three men seem miles apart, and their relationships follow very separate paths. And yet, Fran, Maury, and Paul actually have far more in common than meets the eye. Their moodiness, their excuses, their outlook are all bubbling from the same source, and all three are abusive men. And that's the beginning of this book, right? And then it starts getting into like some more details and specifics. And then they start talking about like this therapy, this group therapy for abusers that the author used to host. And it was just crazy. If I'm being totally honest with you, how often you see this in stories, like you see it on Facebook, you see it on Reddit, and like, you know, we're definitely in this age of people like realizing that their marriages aren't as perfect as they thought they were. You know what I mean? So we're going to keep seeing this until something changes. And if y'all want to hear more of this book as I continue reading it, let me know. And I will keep reading this shit because it is great. And I think all of us could benefit from this. It is so horrifying to me to know that so many of my fellow woman, my fellow femme, my fellow partner, you know what I'm saying, have been through a situation like this where they were horrifically beat, abused, emotionally just warped, like, you know what I'm saying, by these relationships. And I hate that we all have a story to tell, and I hate that so many young women graduate high school, they fall for the okie doke, and now they're on the other side wishing they had listened to us. And I just want to be the change that I want to see. I want to talk about this as much as I can. I just don't know if I can stand seeing little young women, young people dealing with this. I'm going to teach my daughter. I'm going to teach my son. Nobody deserves abuse. And I guess I'll end it with something I say at my jobby job every single day, is that no one is paid enough to get abused, right? And that's coming from my manager's manager, right? So if he's not paid enough, I know you're not paid enough. So don't accept any abuse. And that means for relationships too, okay? All right, I guess that's all I really wanted to say to you guys. And I love you guys so very much. And let me know if you want to hear more.